Trump is purposely sending these federal agents into Democratic cities and Democratic states. John, he's doing that for a reason. I think he's doing it because Trump's trying to actually incite violence.
Now let's go back to the story, the moving story on Minnesota and the shooting there. There are protests on the streets of that city, worries about unrest and disorder developing, of course, after the shooting and killing of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, who was shot by an ICE agent, a federal immigration agent. The protests have been going on through the day.
Shame! 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 This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like! Show me what democracy looks like!
Now, let us get the thoughts of Joe Walsh, who is a former Republican congressman who left the Republican Party and is now a Democrat and a prominent critic of President Trump. Joe, welcome back to the show.
Good to be with you, John.
Joe, I was speaking just a very short while ago to a Republican big donor and a former member of the president's inaugural transition team. And he was telling me the sort of things we've been hearing from Kirsty Noman, from the president himself, shortly after the shooting in Minnesota, that this was a killing in self-defense, that the woman who was shot dead was attempting to attack, using her car, the ICE agent who opened fire, that she was a threat to other ICE agents. And we heard the Homeland Security Secretary even saying that she was a domestic terrorist. What do you say to all of that?
Well, it's all lying and it's all gaslighting. But like the beautiful thing now about this, John, is there's a video. There are videos right there that every American can and probably has looked at. This is the amazing thing about what Trump has been doing for the past year, putting these masked ICE agents on our streets. And it's like all the terror and all the cruelty that they're engaged in, all the violence that these masked agents are instigating, it's all on video. So Americans who generally don't pay attention to politics, they're seeing these videos, and they've been seeing these videos all year. And I guarantee you, damn near all of them have seen the video of what happened in Minneapolis yesterday. And any decent American who looks at that video, any decent American is going to say, tragic. The woman probably panicked, but she was trying to get away. No way in hell did she try to overrun that ICE agent. Why the hell did that ICE agent pull his gun out? I think that's how most Americans will react. Trump and his base will be pro-ICE no matter what.
For those of our listeners who are not familiar with this important aspect of American politics, though it's difficult not to be aware of it after this time, even though we've now reached this crunch point, just explain why this is being taken by the mayor of Minnesota and by the governor of the state to be an example of the president seeking to exert political power and domination over states and cities which are governed by his political opponents. Just explain that.
Yeah, and John, it's fascinating because I'm a Tea Party guy, and we on the Tea Party, the right, used to stand up for states' rights. I think a lot of folks over there with you forget how big we are and forget this concept of federalism that we have, that the federal government has certain powers and the state governments have certain powers. And in our country's history, there's always been a battle between what the federal government can do and what each state can do. This is clearly, though, an issue where Trump is imposing the will on the federal government. And local law enforcement in states are reacting not very favorably. Trump is purposely sending these federal agents into Democratic cities and Democratic states. John, he's doing that for a reason. I think he's doing it because Trump's trying to actually incite violence. Donald Trump wants there to be violence on our streets this year because Trump thinks that will help him politically in the midterms.
Look, I put this to you because this is the version, the account that's been presented by some on the Republican, the pro-Trump side. I spoke to Hal Lambert. He's the donor that I refer to. He suggested there was information, maybe even intelligence. He didn't suggest where that intelligence existed or the evidence that it did exist, but he did he did suggest there was intelligence that the woman in the car and the woman that we heard on one of those now famous tapes crying out in fear at what had just happened were in some ways agitators, professional paid agitators. I do want to get your answer to that.
Yeah, no, this is what Trump's created. The American look. The political context here is really simple. I'm a new Democrat. The Democrats dropped the ball on immigration, clearly. And that's a big reason why Trump won last year. But now, John, Trump has taken this issue of immigration to an ugly, dark, extreme place. He's not going after people in this country who are here illegally, who are violent criminals. He's going everywhere. He's trying to deport anyone. He's going into supermarket parking lots and daycare centers and schools. He's grabbing any immigrant in this country. And he's been doing it for a year, and they're grabbing people off the streets. They're denying them due process. They're deporting them. They're disappearing them into other countries that are not their own countries.
Okay, Joe, I mean, this has just come in. I want to put it to you at the earliest opportunity. I was asking and wondering earlier on, what role might the local police, the local prosecution authorities have in this? We know that a branch of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, it's their job to investigate shootings involving federal agents. But now this has just come in. The head of Minnesota State Investigations Agency has said that the United States Attorney's Office has barred it from taking part in the investigation into the shooting. So it will be left then, presumably, to the FBI to carry out the investigation. But the questions raised by that are obvious. I mean, given that the FBI is led by a hardline Trump supporter in Kash Patel, and we know that the head of the Homeland Security Department, well, she's already given her verdict.
John, that's the fear. I can guarantee you the Justice Department, the FBI, under this president and his people will not investigate this incident at all. I don't even think they'll engage in a sham investigation. And that's why you're seeing state authorities in Minnesota trying to insert themselves to investigate, because most Americans don't believe Trump will allow an investigation of what just happened. Again, similar to, most Americans don't trust the jobs numbers now that Trump puts out, any information that this government puts out right now.
All right. Joe Walsh, a Democrat and former Republican, as ever, good to talk to you.